I'm super excited to talk to you. I want to get to know like where you're from a little bit before we get into what you do on the Emerald Coast. So you were born overseas, is that right?
Yeah, I was born at Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa, Japan.
Nice.
So, yeah, I started speaking with a British accent because we lived in England. And then for most of my, growing up, my mom was stationed at Travis Air Force Base in Northern California. So I grew up in Napa Valley. And then I actually lived on the Veterans Home grounds in Yountville, California. So if you're familiar with NorCal and you know Napa, Yountville is that cute little town right before you go up into wine country. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Then I went to high school in South Jersey, hated
Okay.
it. I was just not happy. So then that's why I joined the Air Force. And then I was stationed at Travis inevitably. So yeah.
That's poetic, right? You get to go back to where you kind of grew up.
Yes, exactly. It was great. I was very thankful.
Yeah, nice. I grew up in Southern California, so I didn't go up to that area a whole bunch, but enough to be
Okay.
vaguely familiar. I'd been to the Bay Area and stuff, been up to wine
Yeah.
country a few times, but I grew up
Yeah.
just north of Los Angeles, about 45 minutes north of LA.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow. Cali. Let's
it was
get
a
it.
nice area. I'm not going back, but it
Yeah.
was a nice area.
Me either. No, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
perfectly perfect in Florida.
I like these beaches. So how did you get to, you said you were in Travis. Did you get stationed here?
Yeah. No, so me and my ex-husband got out of the military, couldn't afford a pot to piss in, moved to upstate New York,
Okay.
struggled there for a while. And then, him and I separated, then divorced, met a new guy, pretty cool, got married. Um, did a lot of hypnotical drifting, as Napoleon Hill puts it. It's kind of just like going, right? You're just, whatever happens, there you are. No intention, no real direction, just kind of, like most people, right? Punching the clock. I'm listening to Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last, on my way down here, and, just waiting for the buzzer to go. Then you start making the widgets, right? And then boom,
Right.
it's break time. Just that weird. So it wasn't until 2018 that I started getting intentional. I found my why again. Simon Sinek is my next ex-husband, by the way. I love him.
He is awesome. I love every time. He's got the best, like 30-second to 60-second clips that you could just be like, I need to get motivated today about, like personal growth or something, and just get one of his on is awesome.
Yeah, and I try to listen to one of his books per quarter, whether it's Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last, or Infinite Game. It's just a good grounder. But you're right, those 30 to 60-second clips on LinkedIn, I'm like, I love you, sir. So, like, yeah, same. I love you.
Shout
Fort
out
Walton
to Simon.
Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, 2018, I kind of found my why. I started working with military, not knowing what I was doing, but it was great. And I felt a part of something so much bigger than myself again. Like I had a direction. I was excited to go to work. So I started with JDog. COVID shut that down. I was very successful with them. COVID shut that down. And I, through that success, everyone in Albany knew me. I got out there. I applied for the business development manager. I had no idea what that was at the time, but I didn't know what it was, but I took it and I ran with it and I killed it. So through those efforts, I was, very well known to the community for my advocacy for military. And then when COVID shut everything down, I applied for everywhere. No one was hiring me. And one of my best friends says, stop trying to fit Tiffany into their boxes and build your own. So I did. I applied for Team Rubicon, which is a veteran, our military veteran, disaster relief nonprofit. And I applied for Grunt Style. I got Grunt Style. Started out on their for-profit side as their director of strategic partnerships and outreach. And then, so Micah, if we would have had this podcast 2 months ago, I would have said. And then I got the amazing opportunity to stand up the Grunt Style Foundation, where what we did was through our, collaboration over competition with Burn Pit 360, another nonprofit, and the amazing John Stewart, we got the PACT Act passed. That's what I would have said. But now I say I learned so much from Grunt Style Foundation and Grunt Style. So much. And unfortunately, some things happened to where they tried to let me go. And under with no why, right? We talk about
Right.
Simon. There was no real reason. They wanted to make room for another female veteran, who I love, Kelsey DeSantis, Marine. She's the Marine that took Justin Timberlake to the Veterans Ball.
Nice.
But anyway, they tried to get rid of me to bring in Kelsey. I fired back with 4 pages of receipts. Their hands were kind of tied. Their VP of legal, she was like, well, what if we give you the Grunt Style Foundation? We want to stand up a nonprofit. If you lead it, do that. And I was like, all right. And they're like, but we're going to take almost 40% of your pay. So, Micah, I have 3 children.
Right.
They're now 20, almost 19, and then 7.
Right. And
this was
in 2018?
2020 is when I went on to Grunt Style for their for-profit. And then 2021 is when they tried to dissolve my position and 1099 me for their military makeover contract.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which great show. I love those guys and girls that do that. It's with Montel Williams, and they redo veterans houses through. It's on Lifetime.
Right.
Beautiful people. Anyway, they said, we're going to dissolve your position. We'll 1099 you for this, And I'm like, what the hell is going on? But at the time, and then, like I said, they took, I think, just over 35% of my pay. But at the time, my boys were in, the number 6 JROTC school in the country in upstate New York, Christian Brothers Academy, all boys, private military college prep school. What was I to do? Just be like, screw you guys. I'm like, no, right? So I had to take that pay cut. It was not, it sucked. And, they brought in Kelsey, who again, I love her so much. She's great. She had no idea, but the leader, one of my leaders and board members, was just, reactionary, I guess. New shiny thing. Let's bring it in. Yeah. So they said, if you get certified in nonprofit leadership, we'll give you your money back. Too easy. Oh, by the way, also you have to stand up this Grunt Style Foundation and keep it relevant. Too easy. So I went to the University of Notre Dame and I took their nonprofit certification, which Grunt Style paid for. And I learned all things nonprofit. I crushed it. It was like 5 months of just, all of these great information, tests, all that stuff. And then when I had all these certs, I went back to Grunt Style and I said, hey, ta-da, here's like 3 different certs. Can I have my money back? They're like, not yet. Keep going. They introduced me to a really nice guy who I think is genuine, as a mentor. And I was like, all right, awesome. Like, I asked this guy like questions, make sure, left, right, left, I'm on the right path. And don't you know it, within a few months, they brought him on as the executive director. Never even asked me if I wanted to take that position.
Right.
Asked him because he knew about how frustrated I was, because he was like a mentor. We'll get you your money back. We'll get you your money back. Grunt Style and Forever Warriors they're both private foundations. There's 2 types of nonprofits. Public charities, those are your ones saying, round up, we'll take $1, asking for money. And then private foundations that are funded by a person, place, thing, church, group of people, trust, whatever.
Right.
I love private foundations because the money's already there. Now, granted, there is an opportunity for stakeholders, right, to come in and say, here's a pile of money, keep doing what you're doing, and put our logo or use our Too easy. So with Grunt Style, I asked him, I said, hey, can I have my money back? You're here now. Can I have my money back? No. Not yet. Keep it up. All right, cool. So I did that. A few months later, they brought on an Army vet, male, and paid him almost $8,000 a month, 1099. And he was the director of development. Micah, I'm a private foundation, Grunt Style Foundation, Why do you need a director of development?
Right.
Like, what do you know? So paid him almost $8,000 a month. Can I have my money back now? No, you're doing great. This is why we brought him on, to get money, to get your money back. And I'm just like, but again, my hands are tied
Right.
because I have two boys in that school, which I love. And to be fair, that school worked like hell with me, because it's not cheap. It's
Yeah.
not at all.
I can't
And then
imagine.
I had my, oh yeah, no, it's the number 6 JROTC school in the country. So then I had my daughter in Albany Academy. Because again, I believe that it's really important to give your kids the best start ever, and then college, you're on your own. I refuse to pay for college. Like, you do you, boo boo. You're gonna be great. So
Right.
anyway, yeah. So I just never got my money back, and I kept GSF relevant. Yes, we got the PACT Act passed, but it wasn't just us. It was, like I said, Burn Pits 360, John Stewart. That day, I was already in DC doing a thing, Air Force One Golf Invitational with my Joint Base Andrews family. I just love them. And I got a call like, hey, the senators flipped. We got to go down to the Capitol. So I did for a little bit. And then I went home, and the guys, the two, they stayed and rallied, and it was great. It was amazing. But yeah, so it was just tough. And then you compound that with like just different things that have been said. I was on a phone call, me and one of my board members and the executive director, and the prominent doctor in DC, this was before the PACT Act passed, when we were trying to get everyone on board, said, well, if we just throw a skirt on Tiffany and put her in front of Senator so-and-so, he'll flip. And everyone laughed. And all I could muster was like, hey guys, can we bring this like back on? Like, because there's
Right.
other stuff there that I'm like, so there was that. And then I think the nail in the coffin was when a girlfriend of mine who I'd known for years, she actually did the marketing for Grunt Style Foundation. She called me after a call, and she goes, hey, I got to tell you something. She goes, I was on a call, and you obviously weren't on it. She goes, they literally said, Tiffany's our prize pig. All she
Jesus.
has to do is bat those big doe eyes, and we'll get her on live, because they wanted more social media presence.
Right.
And after that, my husband's like, and there was other stuff, but it wasn't as direct. And some of it was, but that I was just done. I was so tired. I was like, because this is my why, Micah, like, you've seen me in action. You've seen me
Yeah.
at these
Yeah.
events. And I did them in Grunt Style land, Grunt Style Foundation land, on such a bigger scale, but it was only me, really, and Irreverent Warriors, and Operation Homefront, and Mission Continues, and Blue Star Family. So all these bigger nonprofits had arms in these heavy military heavy communities, in which I was supporting through, we called them Grunt Style Foundation deployments. I would get like 40,000 pounds of food, like 26 pallets. I do obviously my diapers, and it was like paper towels, toilet paper, flour, rice, Gatorade, what was it? The Children's Miracle. I forget the nonprofit, but anywhere I went, they sent me food, all
Right.
free. And it was for E6 and below. It's for a junior enlisted. And I would stage it as a celebration of our junior enlisted, when in reality, it was, I know you guys effing need this stuff. Here it is,
Right.
But I would take the shame out of it, because I'd get a DJ, of course, veteran known. Again, Irreverent Warriors would show up in any location, and they'd be there, and it was a drive-through event. Pop your trunk, let's rock. And I'd have these mountains of food, and it was like, again, food insecurity was one of our pillars. But anyway, I digress. But, I was doing all of this stuff, and I would never have real help from GS or GSF
Right.
unless it was strategized. Like, oh, news, whatever from San Antonio is going to be there, or Pendleton, it hit the press release, stupid, fickle
Right.
stuff. So anyway, yeah, it was just a lot. So in October of last year, I just started looking for like other things, but I'm very selective because I love what I do. I don't just want to go. And I saw this very vague post about a nonprofit for military, for a car dealership. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And where the hell is Fort Walton Beach? Micah, I literally Googled it. It wasn't even downloading. And I'm like, oh, word, send it. Because keep in mind, I'm in Albany, New York. Like,
Right.
I hate this. I know it's coming. 12 months of darkness, right? Because it's like October.
Right.
So yeah, I applied and I remember being embarrassed. I didn't even tell my husband. I told two of my really close girlfriends. And one of them, she's actually here in Vegas. And I'm in Vegas, Military Influencer Conference. Super excited. Anyway, she's here in Vegas and she would fly out. She's not only an Army veteran, but she's a Gold Star mama and Gold Star wife, her husband.
Yeah.
So she's amazing. But anyway, I called her and the other one and I was like, guys, I just applied for this thing. And I was so nervous. And they're like, that's awesome. And I was like, oh, okay, I thought so too.
My friends like it. Let's do it. Let's send it.
It's co-signed by these two. Send
There you
it,
go.
send it. So yeah, and then Maureen, who's one of my board members, the director of marketing for Step One Automotive Group, she calls me. And I was just me. And I remember seeing this phone number and like not knowing whose number it was. And you know me, I'm like wild. Let's just call it what it is. And she calls me. I'm like, hello. And I was kind of like just not paying attention. She was like, hi, Tiffany. I'm like, yes, this is Tiffany. Who's this? And she's like, this is Maureen. And I'm like, hey, Maureen, how are you? And she's like, good. Do you have a minute? I'm like, yeah, but hold on. My daughter's coming and word on the street is she had a really rough day. And she's feral. So can you like give me a couple seconds if she's like losing her mind? And Maureen goes, what? And I'm like, what? And she's like, is this Tiffany? I'm like, yeah, can you, hi. And she's like, hi. And then we talk for like an hour. Huge shout out to Maureen for not hanging up on me and then staring at her phone for 5 minutes. Like, I think I dodged a bullet there.
Yeah. You know, gosh, you have a great personality. If anyone's ever met you in person, I mean, and you're coming through great right now, exactly how you are in person. But you're such a big and caring person, and it's clear how passionate you are about what you do. Every time I see you, I mean, I think the last Irreverent Warriors event I was at, you were like running down the street yelling, "I love my job," taking pictures of people, you know, as we're hiking. Like, and it's just, you just have this great passion for it and helping vets, which being a vet myself, I absolutely love. You know, I think there's a lot of passion for it. I don't know. I guess probably what you dealt with in Grunt Style of, yeah, we want to help the vets, but are you helping the vets because you want to better your company? Or are you helping vets because vets need help? You know, and I think that's missed by a lot of people of, like, well, we're going to do this thing because it gets good publicity and it'll get our name out there more. And it's like, that's great, but that's not helping the vast majority of vets that need help. You know, not every vet has their legs blown off or has burn wounds or has a purple heart. You know, the things that they see and they go through and they experience in the transition. You know, most vets, I don't have stats on this. You might actually, but I don't think most vets have these big upfront wounds, you know, but helping someone get mentally stable and fit doesn't sell as well as, look at, we built a wheelchair ramp and widened all their doors to make their home, you know, disability friendly. And I'm not diminishing those efforts. I think those are great also. I just think that's a very
surface level.
It's surface level, and it's a very small percentage of vets that need those services. It's not the vast majority of the vets that actually need that help. So anyways, I digress. I didn't mean to step you out of your conversation
I love
with
this.
Maureen.
It's okay.
Yeah, I always, I just love your passion for it. And I think I met you at probably the Chamber of Commerce in Fort Walton.
Yes.
I was there the morning coffee where Forever Warriors and Step One Automotive announced and introduced you as taking that over.
January.
Yeah.
They announced the $500,000 commitment to Forever Warriors, which, by the way, is so amazing. Like, think about that. I don't know, and I've looked, I don't know any other car group, automotive group in the United States that has committed such a commitment, but I can't think of the word. But think about it. Like, it's not a one and done. Right. It's not a check, smile, kiss baby, shake hands. It's not one of those.
Right.
They're all in.
Right.
And, you know, just the thought of that, I'm so grateful. But again, I'm also thankful for Grunt Style and the stuff I had to go through
Right.
with them, because that prepared me for this.
Right.
It absolutely, what I will and will not take, what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, because, I'm hyper vigilant on the way conversations go. And now I can head them off before it gets to, oh, well, we can just throw a skirt on Tiffany and send her.
Right. No thanks.
No,
That's not how
you
this is gonna work.
actually can't. Like,
Right.
and thank you, I'm done. I'm able to push myself away, and that hasn't happened, right? No one's got, well, someone said some slick stuff at a thing, but I shut him down, and then he apologized. And then he sent me an email and apologized, and I blocked him. So, you know, um, live and learn. But yeah, Forever Warriors has been so amazing. And I'm so thankful and grateful to my board, because they were literally like, do your thing. And I'm like, yes. And I got to go out and just get so aggressively compassionate on Hurlburt, Dukefield, 7th Group, Rangers. I literally wore a Ranger hoodie here to Vegas to the Military Influencer Conference, and guys were like, and it was funny because before I left Fort Walton Beach, I went to 6 RTB, 6 Ranger Training Battalion. Their third school, Swamp School, is down there.
Yeah.
And I love those guys. Russ is the commander. I don't know how to say his last name. But before I left him, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to go to the shop at and I'm going to buy a Ranger Tab sweater. And he was like, do it. And I'm like, I'm going to wear it to the airport. He was like, do it. I'm like, I'm going to tell everyone I'm an active duty Army Ranger. And he was like, do it.
I love it.
It was just really cool. And, some of the guys here, that I don't even know, were like, oh, and I'm like, I'm an Air Force Ranger. It was established 7 November 2023. It's a brand new branch. You know what I mean? Just joking around, but it's a great
big deal. I love it.
Remember Space Force?
So
even better. So yeah.
Real quick, I want you to give the elevator pitch on what Forever Warriors is, and I want you to go more into it, but you've said it a couple times, so just surface level, and we'll get into it. Like, what is Forever Warriors? And again, going on what you said too, huge shout out to Step One Automotive on standing that up and supporting that. Yeah. That's awesome. If you're looking for a car and you want to go, you got to buy a car anyways, so... Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to talk about that.
State. Yeah. So Forever Warriors is a private foundation stood up and funded by Step One Automotive Group. Think of Forever Warriors as a concierge service. I'm not here to rework the wheel. I'm not here to stand up new programs or processes. I'm here to add values to the ones that are already in place. I'm here to bring the ones that are operating with integrity and empathy and share them, the ones that will answer the phone, the ones that will respond to your email. It may take them a minute, but they're here compassionately for the service member, veteran, and their military spouse. I do fun stuff. I do initiatives, right? Oh my gosh, so funny. He's wearing a Ranger. Oh my God, that's so funny. Sorry.
Is it your hoodie?
I do. No, it's just.
Did you leave it laying around somewhere?
I know, right? No, I'd fight him. It's mine. But I also work with our military babies at some of our schools, ensuring that they understand it's okay to have big, angry feelings about mom and dad leaving all the time. But these are your people, right? These are your other military babies. You want to talk mental health, you got to get them while they're young and let them know it's okay to feel that way. And these are their people. Also work with recruiters for recruitment and resiliency. And it goes on. It just depends. I like to read people and see when they turn me off. And that's when I stop talking. But again, Mike, I'm not here to rework the wheel. And right now, United Way of the Emerald Coast and I stood up Mission United in Fort Walton Beach, Okaloosa, and Walton counties, because there wasn't one. But what we're doing right now is a listening tour. We're going to the different installations, listening to senior leadership and understanding what exactly do our active duty and guardsmen and reservists need. Because I read a lot. I don't watch TV. So Bishop Desmond Tutu has this beautiful quote, which is, we've got to stop pulling people out of the river, go upstream and find out why they're falling in. So as this year has progressed, and I if you go to my website, I have a Operation Upstream initiative, but what I'm going to have my marketing firm do is kind of say that's Forever Warriors. It's getting upstream to while they're still serving, creating that relationship, deepening it with the community so that these service members understand there is support. while
Right.
they're in, therefore making it more fluid to when they come out to ask, knowing who to rock with. And
Right.
then on the civilian side, educating the community that it's so much more important than a thank you for your service on Veterans Day, Memorial Day, which, what? And sometimes 4th of July if they're not too wasted. Like,
Right.
we got to do better. We got to do better. So that's what I'm doing, making
I
people
love it.
uncomfortable with compassion.
I love it. So, real quick, what is your website? Because you mentioned on your website there's that stuff.
Yeah, forever-warriors.org. That's what my website is.
Okay, cool. So if anyone
Yeah.
wants to do that, and I'll put that in the show notes too, so people can go on and just click the link. We'll make it easy. Unless you have like a link tree or something, then we'll put whatever
I had
makes the
that
most
too.
sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, and we're on everything except for TikTok, because no, but we're on LinkedIn,
Love it.
Facebook, Instagram, and even Pinterest. That's
Nice.
fancy. Get that SEO up. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, we're on
Very
those
cool.
platforms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you said you mentioned you're going and talking to senior leadership at the base level, prior to separation. I want to like just at least bring up the fact that when people are transitioning out of the military does have a mandatory fun week that you got to go through. It's your TAPS, separation stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My experience with that, and this was just completely subjective, how I felt about it, was there was an effort, but it felt so much more like a CYA from the military side, where it's kind of like, hey, did you actually learn anything, or did do we just get to say like we prepared them for civilian life after 10 years? For me, it was, I was 12 years in after, well, I went through TAPS after 10 years. So, because I was a reservist. So after 10 years of military service and the military way of life and deployments and all the things you've been through, we sent you through 30 hours of training that you may or may not have actually gained anything from. And oh, by the way, half of it was just kind of a script that was read. There was no Q&A. There was no, so I don't want to say that it's not there for the military, because it is, and it's up to the member to go seek further assistance.
Yes.
It really is, but it's not, I don't think it's valued or weighted heavily enough for the most part. There are some really cool programs out like Skill Bridge, which help prep people for a new job. But I think it's super important too that you said prepping the community, talking to some of the, senior commanders. Do you do any work with the, I say junior enlisted, but if someone does a 4-year tour, 8 years or 6 years, are you talking to them and seeing kind of what their experiences are?
Yes. So Forever Warriors is a one-woman show. It's me. So if you're in the Panhandle and you ever see the Forever Warriors 10, just know that this is
This
somewhere
is it.
close. This is like it. So with that, I rely heavily on my volunteers, my
Yeah.
my my family that I've created here. And I'm very intentional with who I surround myself with, because again, I will not stop my gut until every veteran wants for nothing. My transition was not good. I'm just thankful to be here right now.
Yeah.
So when you ask about, do I talk to these junior enlisted and, the people that don't, retire or, halfway points or anything like that? Absolutely. And the beauty of Forever Warriors and how we move with, forward with purpose is, at these events, I have my Omar. And Omar works for the Oakland VA. He's a retired special operator. He's been through some shit. And he came out on the other side, right? What is that? Shawshank came out clean on the other side. Andy
Yeah.
Dufresne. And so what he does is he throws on an FW shirt and he slings diapers with me. And he also brings his Florida FDVA shirt, and he asks everyone when we're on Hurlburt, hey, when are you getting out? Oh, 2 years, 4 years, perfect. Start doing this, 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 this. And if a spouse is with that person, all right, you need to make sure they get everything documented. Their back hurts, medical. So there's that. I have his wife, Myra, who works for Okaloosa Career Source. She's a mill spouse. She's been through it. she's over here like, are you unemployed? Are you underemployed if you are a mill spouse? Because that's a huge thing. I'm a
Yep.
2-time mill spouse, by the way. Like, I know what that I'm everything. But there's
Simon's
that.
not military though, so your next one will
My next one will be a civvy.
Simon Sennett.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
okay
there
with
you
that.
go.
Good morning. Yeah, that's fine. But
Yeah,
he rocks with military special
yeah,
operators, so
for sure.
yeah, we're all good. But yeah, so I make sure I have people that are there. Then I have my guy Greg, who I love. He's Army. Um, and he previously worked for 211. So he knows a lot of the resources that are out there. I have Allie, who's a mill spouse queen. I love her. She comes to a lot and she's just there. Like, and she's beautiful and she's so sweet and she's just so loving and she brings her kids there. You know what I mean? So everyone that's there is like actively asking questions, not just what diaper size.
Right,
They're talking
right,
these people through. So that's super important. And again, I'm telling these junior enlisted like, hey man, I was there.
right.
And the look of relief when
Yeah,
they're like, oh, someone, because I'm not in a suit. Most of the time I'm not fancy, like ask Maureen. She's always like, what, get professional. I'm like, no, as I run away. In my Forever Warrior Silkies, but
people.
it's all
Yeah,
but
it can't be
here's
stiff.
no, you can't, not with us.
No.
Because the minute that you come like that and or you try to bring them into a very sterile, like it didn't work. One of the cool things I did with Grunt Style, and unfortunately I didn't have the support to continue it, but I partnered with Bear County veteran, military and veteran, whatever. And at 900 Broadway, we did a VSO day, not VSO day, a claim day. So I brought food and I had the VSOs there and they could help you with your claim. You know how many vets came in? Because they had to walk through retail. So they got to see a F your feelings hoodie. They got to see an I don't care bear. They got to see a sure, and just walking through that, like now like now you're ready to have a conversation about
Right.
your service.
Yeah.
And listen, I love the military. I do. My husband is in tech school right now. Hashtag shout out to Dorm Dad. I love you, sir. That was his name in boot camp.
Okay.
But in TAPS, my TAPS was 2 days and it was like, and they go, hey, Elliot, or Pakinowski was my last name at the time. They're like, you have a cavity. You want to go to dental? I'm like, do I have an option? They're like, well, you're pregnant, so you don't have to go. And I'm like, I got this. And that was it. That was TAPS for me.
Right.
Now it's like drinking from a fire hydrant. The end result's still the same. I got this. I'm good.
Right.
And that's why Forever Warriors supports nonprofits like the Honor Foundation, because the way that the Honor Foundation, and so do too, Special Operator Transition Foundation, I've just never gotten my eyes on a cohort. THF, I met them in Q4 of last year. Kelsey goes, hey, you think you can help us? We were supposed to have our cohort that starts in January. This is in December. We were supposed to have our cohort here. They told us they couldn't do it. So Forever Warriors found a location for them. And I got a caterer who's a Marine spouse owned business. And we've been rocking all year.
Nice.
So yeah. But that's an expensive transition program. But they're trying.
Right. Right.
They're
Well,
all trying, I guess.
something you said, and I think I if it could be implemented right, and I don't know what the best way to do it is. Maybe you can figure it out. That's what you get paid for, right?
Yeah.
I now I separated on not the best terms. I had disagreements about what constituted a legal vaccine than the military did. So that was kind of my separation process. So I actually had no
Really?
intention of separating. I had intentions of continuing. I was trying to sign a 3-year AGR tour and then was basically told the reserves did it in a way that was actually good for the members. There was no, well, at least for our unit or our wing, there was no formal punishment. In the reserves, if you're not medically fit, you're not allowed to come on orders. So that could be, any plethora of medical reasons. Basically, like, hey, you're not
Right.
medically fit to serve right now. You're not on orders. You can't come back on orders till you get medically fit. So that was the route they chose. They're like, you're not medically fit because you don't meet the DoD guidelines for what is considered medically fit because my vaccine records weren't up to date. and I just decided like this isn't for me. I don't agree with these decisions, so I'm not going to do this. So I got out faster than I thought I was going to. But even still, I don't think there's a program that you said, the guy, I don't remember his name right now, but you said that was talking to people 1, 2, 3 years out from separation. Here's what you
Omar.
need to do. Oh
Yeah.
my, okay. So like that would have been so impactful, because now I'm fighting with the VA, and I'm 2 years into a fight with the VA about, what I dealt with and what I went through and like the different things I'm dealing with. And the VA is just as convoluted as the DoD. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but they're very compartmentalized. So like I
Yeah.
went through my compensation and disability exam, and then those 15 doctor's appointments I went through didn't transfer over to my PCM. Don't know why, but they did all these doctor's appointments. I've been x-rayed enough to turn into the Hulk soon. And
Yeah.
they're now like, oh yeah, your PCM doesn't get any of those x-rays. I just don't understand it. But nobody that I'm aware of has a formal program for like, are you going to think about getting out in 2 years? Here's your 2-year plan of your last 2 years in the military. It's, if you're on the ball and if you're smart, you'll go do some kind of skill bridge program and you have a 6-month plan. That's about
Right.
as far reaching as it gets. After that, it's just kind of like show up, do your job, show up, do your job. I was in a career field where going to medical was kind of taboo because we were out doing physical stuff all the time. We were on jump status, dive status. Oh, you have a stuffy nose, you can't jump. Oh, you're on a Z-Pack, you can't dive. So, and that hurts pay if that's my only opportunity to jump or dive. So, it was a very
Yeah.
taboo thing. But now that I'm at the point where I'm fighting with the VA, I'm like, that wasn't worth it. I wish I would have gone in more, and I wish more people would get up and preach. If you're 2 years out from separation and you even think you're separating in 2 years, start doing these things, because this is what the VA wants to see. And they're real things that people are dealing with. But when there's no medical record or there's no record of it, a lot of the injuries I sustained were out in the field. So I just talked to an IDMT, super glue wounds, heal me up out there. I was knocked out a couple times, and it was just like, are you good? Do you need to go to the hospital? Well, I
Well,
can't
yeah,
jump.
because who wants that? Who
Right.
wants to potentially lose the opportunity to make money, their security clearance, get retrained? Like, who wants that heat?
Right.
No
Right.
one.
Right. No,
And
absolutely.
and then never mind the stigmas or shame associated, because granted, yes, mental health is a thing, and the military's trying to normalize these conversations.
Yeah.
But you and I know, depending on your rank, depending on your
Right.
AFSC or MOS, you say, like, I know someone, they were here, gonna go to be a pilot, left literally in January, started training, came back by March, back here in March, left in January, came back by March, because now he's on antidepressants. Also, like, they just rented their house in Navarre, or
Right.
that, rented it out. So now
Right.
they're renting a house and he's back. And
Right.
he's on no, like, he has to wait a full year of being on those meds and then he can try it again. Are you kidding me? All
Right.
because he said he was depressed.
Right.
Like, that totally shook they just left
Well,
and now they're back.
why would he ever go back? You now just upended my life for the next year. My experience, I went, reached out for mental health once. I go up and, I go in the hospital. I go up to the mental health clinic thinking like, this is the right thing to do. I should probably go do this. I would like to talk to someone. They go, well, yeah, my big issue personally was I couldn't sleep through the night. I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't stay asleep. Like I was just suffering with sleep stuff. So I was like, let's start there. Go up. They go, are you suicidal? I go, no. I go, okay, cool. Fill out this form, turn it back in. Basically they're like, well, we can't get you in. I think it was 8.5 months, I think was the next appointment that they would see me. They're like, but we'll have someone call you. Would you like that? And I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it over the phone. I can talk to someone over the phone. Doesn't have to be in person. And I get a call from this guy, and my issue was sleep. I'm pretty good at my sleep hygiene, by the way. Like I have a routine bedtime. I don't drink caffeine after 2 in the afternoon. I don't eat within 2 hours of bed. I sleep in a dark room. I do a lot of things
You're
to try
very,
and
yeah,
sleep well. I'm
intentional.
very, yeah. And basically I got a 30-minute lecture on this guy about sleep hygiene practices. And then they're like, all right, that's it. And I was like, okay, so if I do need mental health issues and I am not suicidal, then I have to either wait 8.5 months or just get a lecture on sleep. That's so frustrating. And I know it's not an easy fix. But
But it's having conversations like these that start the snowball, that
right,
start the little pebble
right.
down the embankment, which leads me straight like I'm such a dork. Perfect segue into parade deck.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's do it. I
Sophie's
wanted to
like,
ask you
well,
about
all
that.
right, hard left, but all right. Yeah, you already
No.
know. I go, So yes, parade deck. What is parade deck? Well, we believe that every voice, every story regarding our service should be heard. We believe that it doesn't matter how long you served, whether it was 2 years or 25, whether you stayed stateside or had 20 deployments, whether you were a dirt boy or services, a military spouse or worked at the Pentagon. You have a space where you could share all of that on the parade deck. Um, the parade deck is a platform that brings all of your other platforms together: LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, um, all of that, and you list it there. Um, I'm just so thankful to be a part of it because we encourage everyone to share their story. Like I said, I'm here at the Military Influencer Conference and I've met so many great people. And they're like, well, I don't really have a story. This one guy, his name starts with an H. I saw him walk by and he was like, whoa. And I said, well, you do. You work for Primerica and you're a veteran. And he's like, yeah, but I don't have a story. I go, well, why don't you just start talking about stuff that's already a thing? He's like, well, what do you mean? I go, you live in Texas, right? He goes, yeah. I go, well, is it still a thing that if you're 100% P&T, you don't have to pay property taxes? He's like, yeah, but everyone knows that. I go, no, they don't.
Nope.
I said, why don't you hop on YouTube? Hey, I'm H with Primerica, Air Force vet. Did you know that if you're in the state of Florida or Texas and you're 100% P&T, no property tax? Any questions? Primerica, boom, and send it. That's it.
Right.
I said, you do that, H, every single week over just stuff that's already out there. I said, then next year, when you come to an event like this and you meet someone and you say, I'm with Primerica, and then Tiffany comes up and she's like, I'm with Geico, imagine the flex.
Right.
Well, you know what? Here's where I am on parade deck. Been doing videos for a while. Let me know if I can help. And I walk away. Meanwhile, Tiffany's still surface level selling, right? Talking about the how and the what,
Right.
not the why. So now I go back to my hotel room. I Google you. I see 365 days of just facts. Then I got this lunatic over here like, and another thing,
Right.
I said,
Right.
it just sets you apart. And I said, you do that over and over and over. I said, because the thing is, it seems like common knowledge, but I'll tell you what, E3 Tiffany wouldn't have known
No.
any of this stuff.
I heard a story about I think she was E8 coming up on retirement, and I mean, bad on her for not asking, but it breaks my heart. But obviously my industry is real estate now. She didn't
Yeah.
know that she had been told at some point that you could only use your VA home loan entitlement one time. So she went 20 years in the military, never bought a home, thinking that she couldn't, that she could only use it once, and she wanted to save it for her retirement home after she got out.
No.
I don't know I don't know where she got that information. And again, there has to be some personal accountability of never looking into that again. But
Absolutely.
that's just, a kind of
But
striking
that speaks to the
example.
military. Let's pause for a minute. That speaks to how old school we tell you something, you're to be seen and not heard, head and eyes down. That's it. You don't question. You just, sir, yes, sir.
Right.
Heard, too easy.
Right.
Proceeding, sir. Whatever. Like
Right.
that's what it was. But you're right, 100% on her.
But
Like,
also just putting that simple information out, the stuff that's already there and already exists that you think everyone knows, but they don't. I had a meeting a couple days ago with a couple guys that were looking to buy and they didn't know how they wanted to do it. And I was like, well, you can have 2 VA home loans at a time. Like, one now doesn't have to stop you from buying in 3 years when you PCS. And they were just, absolutely blown away by it. Now, there's rules around it. You
absolutely.
go buy
Right. You
two
can't buy it
McMansions.
and then rent it out. Like, what?
Right.
No, at least 1 year, at least, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it has stipulations, but yeah, no, that's an absolutely great example. That just
Yeah.
putting the basic information out there and getting it out, because there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of myths, there's a lot of changed information. You were talking, you helped
Yeah.
with the PAC Act changed, like
Yeah.
that changed stuff for people in the VA.
Hmm.
That
And
if
they're
they don't,
still trying to, the backlog and the amount of claims. Parade deck, we have a stage here, and I probably should have done it over there, but we actually had Mr. Terrence Hayes on and we live stream the VA press conference. We try to. We're having issues with making sure closed captioning is on there for ADA compliance and all that. But like, the beauty of the parade deck is that it speaks to service members active, right? It highlights the military service members that are doing things while serving. Because again, when I was in, you didn't do anything else. Now these kids are buying homes. These kids are, and I say kids, but these people have lives outside of the military. And I'm just
right?
over here like, that's cool. Like,
Yeah,
what's the age again? I'll go back. I
yeah,
won't. I will not go back. There's people in the panhandle that are like, it's fine. And I'm like, no. But, it's such a great, and again, like, and some people still don't understand, like, me speaking from why and with love. And they're like, so what is it? I'm like, Spotify and LinkedIn had a baby and it raised its right hand. Get it?
yeah,
Got it? Yes or yes?
yeah.
And they're like, oh, so that's kind of what it is. But again, it's so much more than that. We have active duty military on there that share their stories, from Riley, who's the Marine. She won 2 bronze medals for bobsledding. She's on there too. Your everyday military that are serving. MBA, the Military Basketball Association, which I'm bringing to the Panhandle. Stand by, that's going to be huge this summer. To just so many great people. And again, we just got to share and have these conversations, because otherwise we sit at home and we think we're less than, we think we're not good enough, we think we're crazy. But being able to share it in one space and all different voices and all different, points of views, that's gold. We
Yeah.
don't have that. Now, yes, you can go to YouTube and search military podcast. Good luck. Tell Jocko and Goggins I said hi, right? Because those are the two
Right.
ones that are. But my 1 to 3, if anyone needs a military anything, they go to the parade deck. I want a military speaker, I'm going to the parade deck. I want a military change maker or influencers for you civilians, go to the parade deck. Recruiters, how do I show this town out in nowhere USA the potential and opportunities associated with serving? I'm going to go to parade deck and I'm going to pull up this video of this person that's serving right here, right now. Recruitment, retention. You want to play basketball while serving your country? Perfect. Join the MBA, the military. You're female? We can play too.
Nice.
Like, do that.
Right.
So it's such an amazing platform, and it's a startup. It's a startup. So it's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of love. So
Yeah.
that's it. And you can find that at paradedeck.com. And I'm the chief operating officer. I run it with one of my senior advisors, a Marine, and then my CEO, also a Marine. I don't know what it is about being Marines. I just can't get enough. So yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I hate to cut you off, but I am running out of time. I got a wife and a daughter I got to go work with. My daughter's homeschooled, so we got our day kind of planned out ahead of us.
God bless you.
But thank you so much for coming. Oh, I got to ask, what is your favorite thing about the Panhandle? If someone comes down here, and I like asking it like this, right? If they got 24 hours and $1,000 in their pocket, what are you going to tell them to go do?
Go to the Gulf and just be. put your feet in that sand that doesn't get hot and just look out and see what you're a part of. And take a knee. Understand that no matter
Yeah.
how big or bad you think you are, you can't stop those waves.
Yeah.
And just be grateful that you were chosen to wake up that day. That's it.
Awesome.
It's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Free, easy. It is very humbling standing on the shore and looking out to just the water. There's no land in
I
sight.
have meetings. I make people meet me out there for meetings, and they're so confused, but yeah. So that's it. Thank you for having me. Hashtag until every veteran wants for anything.
Next podcast, we're going to do it on the beach.
Yes, we are. I'm holding you to that.
All right, let's do it. We got to figure it out. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll get your link tree and parade deck and Forever Warrior. We'll get all your stuff and the details. So if you want to know more about Tiffany or her awesome personality, we'll check it out.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tiffany. See you, everyone.
You're welcome.